So, you finally got some money saved, maybe even your first $20,000, and you know you should probably be investing it. But if you are new to this, it can feel very confusing and really overwhelming. This video is the complete beginner's guide to investing your first $20,000. I am going to split it up into 5 parts, so feel free to skip around if you want. If you are new here, hi, I am Nisha. I am a chartered accountant, which basically means my advice is regulated by an official board. Everything I say regarding money has to be high quality and accurate. Another thing, if investing is your main priority this year, I am releasing my completely free investing workshop this Sunday. It teaches you everything from how to invest to what to invest in even more detail than I'm going to go through in the next 15 minutes. It is completely free. You can sign up using the link in the description before the doors close. So, let's dive in. Part 1. Why invest at all? Starting with the basics. Why invest at all? The main reason is you don't want to be the only one working and making money. You also want your money working for you so that your money makes you more money. Think about it like this. Say you have got that first $20,000 right now. You have really only got 3 options. You could spend it, you can hide it somewhere in your home, or you can leave it sitting in a bank account. The problem with those last 2 options is something called inflation, which is making your money worth less every single year. Think about your regular coffee order. A few years ago, it might have cost you $2.50. Today, the exact same coffee might be closer to $4. Same drink, probably the same cup. The only thing that changed is your money buys less of it. Now, stretch that across everything. Your food shopping, your rent, your bills. Goods that cost $10,000 in 2015 would cost over $14,000 today, according to an inflation calculator. Money that just sits still is actually going backwards. Investing fixes both problems at once. It grows your money and it protects what you already have from inflation. Part 2. How your money grows. Now for the interesting bit. How does your money actually grow? There are 2 ways your money grows when you invest, and I want you to properly understand both. The first is ownership. When you invest in something like Apple stock, you own a tiny slice of Apple, the actual company. If Apple does well, opens more stores, sells more iPhones, and makes more money each year, then Apple becomes worth more. That means your slice becomes worth more, too. Your money grew because the business you part own became more valuable over time. The second way is what is often called the 8th wonder of the world, compound interest. Compound interest is simply the returns you earn on top of your returns. You are not just making money on the original amount you put in. You are also making money on the interest that the original amount has already made. Let's look at this with numbers. Let's say you invest $1,000 a month and earn an average rate of return of 8% a year. Your first $100,000, which is your first milestone, takes about 7 years to get to. That is a decent chunk of time. But you really see the power of compounding when you get to the second milestone and beyond, because the time period to get to the next $100,000 is dramatically shorter. That is because now you are earning that noble 8% on a much bigger pile. You are earning 8% on your first $100,000 and on all the interest it has accumulated. So now, it only takes 4 years to reach that second $100,000 milestone. That is about half the time it took to get to your first milestone. Then, the third $100,000 milestone takes around 3 years. Each milestone comes faster than the one before. The time it takes you to reach every milestone after that gets shorter and shorter because of compound interest. By the time you are approaching $1 million, you could add an extra $100,000 in roughly 1 year. The snowball does not roll at a steady speed. It starts slow, but it accelerates later on. This is why your first $20,000 matters so much more than people realize. It is the seed for every milestone after it. With compounding, time matters more than timing. Part 3. The foundations. Before we get to what to actually buy, there are 2 things I want you to get sorted first. These are the difference between investing with confidence and investing with fear. First, expensive debt. If you are carrying anything with a high interest rate, a credit card at 20%, for example, clearing that comes before investing. Paying off a 20% debt is, in effect, a guaranteed 20% return on your money. No stock market on earth will promise you that. Investing while paying that kind of interest is like filling a bucket that has holes in the bottom. Fix the holes first. Second, your emergency fund. I usually suggest 3 months of your living expenses saved up if you only have yourself to think about. Go for 6 months if you have a partner or dependents. If you want to be extra cautious, go for 9 months. Keep it somewhere easy to access where you are earning high interest. Once those things are sorted, look into your workplace pension or retirement scheme. If your employer matches your contributions, take all of it. That is free money, and you will never beat that kind of guaranteed return. After that, use a tax-free investment account if your country offers one. Your money grows so much quicker when you do not have tax to pay. Part 4. What should you invest in? Now that the foundations are done, what should you start investing in with your first $20,000? One of the most common questions I get is, should I invest in the stock market or should I invest in property? Property can absolutely be a great investment, but the reason I talk about the stock market more is because the barrier to entry is so much lower. Many modern investment platforms let you invest with less money than you would spend on a loaf of bread. Saving for a deposit on a house can take years. It can be hard enough to buy a house to live in for yourself, let alone buying a property to rent out to tenants. On top of that, property investing comes with maintenance costs, taxes, and the responsibilities of being a landlord. Stocks and funds are much easier to access, far more passive, and a lot more predictable. I actually spoke on an episode of The Diary of a CEO about how I have invested in both stocks and property. One of the properties I invested in actually generated way fewer returns than if I had just invested in the stock market at that same time. When people get started in investing, their first thought is often to look at the stocks that performed best in the past few years and invest in those. But that would be a big mistake. The past does not always represent what will happen in the future. Nokia was a leading phone brand back in 2010. They owned about 37% of the phone market share. But by 2020, in just 10 years, their market share dropped to less than 1%, and their stock price fell by almost 70%. Anyone who bought Nokia because it had dominated the past watched that logic completely fall apart. If we go back 40 years to the 1980s, the biggest companies in the world looked very different from now. Back then, it was mostly General Motors and major oil companies. Even 20 years ago, the list was Exxon, Walmart, and Cisco. Today, the biggest companies are Nvidia, Tesla, and Google. The only company still on that list from 20 years ago is Microsoft. As a beginner, you are better off not investing in individual stocks. It concentrates your risk, and your entire outcome depends on one business. One stumble, and everything cracks at once. The quickest, lowest-effort way for a beginner to start investing is with index funds. They are a great option if you want to achieve financial freedom and build wealth without putting in a lot of effort or getting exceptionally lucky. It allows you to pretty much just set it and forget it. If I were investing my first $20,000 today, this is exactly what I would put it in. A single index fund can hold thousands of companies across roughly 50 countries. One purchase gives you instant diversification. If you want to learn how to choose what to invest in, analyze fees, and calculate how much you need to stop working, remember to sign up for my free workshop using the link in the description. Part 5. The 3 biggest mistakes. To wrap up, let's cover the main mistakes that trip people up time and time again. The biggest risk in investing isn't actually the market, it is your own behavior. Mistake number 1 is procrastinating. I see so many people who have money sitting in savings because they are scared to invest it. They say they want to learn more first, or they want someone to confirm that what they are doing is okay. I understand that feeling, but while you are waiting to feel ready, you are missing out on years of potential growth. You do not need to find the perfect investment from day one. You just need to start small, stay consistent, and learn as you go. In investing, time in the market matters far more than timing the market. If you look at the long-term performance of the S&P 500, investors who held their investment uninterrupted for a 20-year period almost never lost money, even through the financial crisis and major market setbacks. Mistake number 2 is following trends. When you start learning about investing, you can easily get swept up in the excitement. But investing is supposed to be pretty boring and repetitive. It is natural for new investors to get carried away when everyone is pushing the next hot stock or crypto coin. Psychologists call this the Dunning-Kruger effect. Basically, You do not yet know enough to realize how little you know. If you want to buy individual stocks, do it with a tiny portion of your portfolio. Think of it as your fun money, enough to learn from, but not enough to lose sleep over. Mistake number 3 is materializing your losses. This is one of the most expensive habits you can fall victim to. When markets fall, your instinct might be to pull your money out, but that just locks in your loss. The best investors do the opposite. They stay calm, or they even invest more during downturns. Getting confident at investing does not happen overnight. But once you have got that first $20,000 in investments, you will be amazed at how easy the rest is to do. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.